This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall. CJAD 800.
That is James MENNIE over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, I'm going to get Brian to play a clip here because I want to go into your first point here by letting you hear something that's going on. So François Legault yesterday, of course, because of the passing of Queen Elizabeth, they suspended their campaign for the day. But if we go back a couple of days ago, that comment over immigrants and extremists and violence, whatever, he gets asked, I think this is Kat Sinet, the reporter, who did a really good job of pushing him. Yeah. I want you to hear this exchange and tell me if you hear an answer here at all with respect to immigrants, extremists, and violence, right? The first question he was asked, listen to this.
Yesterday, you didn't have any notes. You answered journalists' questions naturally, spontaneously. So why should we believe you when you say that you really think there is no link between immigration, violence, and extremism?
First, we have to remember that we weren't talking only about Quebec, but there were some questions about other provinces and other countries. And what I said is that in any country or state, there's a challenge of integration to the values and to the language. So when questions were asked about which values, I shouldn't have answered that because some people made a bad link between that and our immigrants. In Quebec, our challenge is really about the language, not about the values. And that's why we changed with the Bill 96, the Bill 101. And that's why we're trying to increase also the percentage of new immigrants speaking French. Because right now there's a decline of French in Quebec, and it's important that we stop that, and the only way is to choose more immigrants speaking French.
Pretty good job of deflection there, huh? Language, by the way, in his original comments never even came up, but he did manage to invoke it in his answer. Jim?
Well, he's absolutely sidesteps the quote that got him in hot water in the first place, which was, he was very specific. Quebecers are peaceful people. They don't want bickering. They don't want extremists. They don't want violence. Now, that was, to any reasonable person, a connection between immigration or the problems of integration, perhaps, and immigration. And he realized, I think and he's had this problem for a while, after the words leave his head, he realizes, which is basically why, a lot of people yesterday, I hate to say it, although I'll confess, it kind of went through my mind as well, with the passing of the Queen, who during an earlier press conference on Wednesday, he had no comment. He was like, it could be happening on the far side of the moon. He had nothing to say about the Queen's condition. With the passing of the Queen, boom, flags at half-mast, boom, I'm suspending my campaign. And some people, and like I say, I have the thought in the back of my head is going like, you just dodged the bullet, brother, because for the next 24 hours, every newsroom is not going to be paying attention to you, will not be paying attention to this campaign. Even though his opponents continued to campaign, he was able to take a breather. He went into a neutral corner, hoping that this is going to blow over. But it's not going to blow over, if only because François Legault is François Legault. And he somehow manages to be his own worst enemy, at least in terms of this election campaign, in terms of strict political pragmatism. He is his own worst enemy. He has done this in the past, outside of a campaign context, because he didn't have to care. I'm the premier. I've got this huge majority. It doesn't matter what people think of what I say. It now matters a lot, because he knows better than anybody else that those big fat numbers can evaporate very, very quickly if he keeps making these really, as far as I'm concerned, ridiculous statements that I described as saying the quiet part out loud, statements that some people might perceive as being a message to people who fully agree with what he just said, who fully agree that there is a connection between violence and extremism and immigration, even though study after study has determined that that is not the case. But, like I say, François Legault needs you to be scared of something in order to get your vote. And, whether it's immigration, Anglos, the decline of French, there's always going to be something. I tell you, it'll be interesting to see whether this story sprouts legs again between now and I believe it's next week, the first debate. So
15th,
be very prepared to hear this raised and perhaps raised repeatedly
I
by
hope
his
so.
opponents. And it'll be interesting. I don't think he'll be able to get away with the sort of Fred Astaire, histrionics that we just heard.
Yeah.
I think they're going to nail him to a wall on this, and it'll be very interesting to see what the blowback or the fallout, rather, will be in the wake of that first debate.
I mean, I hope so, 100%, because I agree he does this time and time again, but I think there never seem to be any real consequences. It doesn't seem to hurt him. He can say dumb things, offensive things, incredibly, divisive, awful things, and yet somehow it never seems to cause him any harm.
I would say up until this week, you were right. I think there has been a change in tone. Even the exchange that we just heard. I have never heard a reporter saying, why should we believe you when you say this today, when you say pretty much the opposite of what you told us 24 hours earlier? I've never heard that. If I'm wrong, I apologize.
No, I think you're probably right. And by the way, it got even more, I don't want to say heated, but that reporter just kept going at him because clearly there wasn't an answer to her question in there. But maybe we can play that a little later on. I wonder, though, Jim, so, I think I've asked this before, but here we are barely 2 weeks into the campaign. I don't know what's sticking to who, but it seems like every party has stuck its foot in it to some degree. Legault with that comment. Of course, Quebec Solidarity with this let's tax the rich comment, which every other party actually got together on and said we don't agree with, which rarely happens. Yeah. Who's done the best job at tiptoeing through this minefield so far?
Well, as it may seem odd coming from me, but I think right now, Dominique Anglade has figured out this week the way to win this. If you're going to win this, make it about Legault. Make it about his policies. Because let's face it, François Legault is the CAQ. And we had a perfect example today. Madame Anglade is up in Vaudreuil, where they're building a new hospital. And she makes a pledge. I'm going to create 2,000 additional hospital beds. And, of course, people are going, okay, that's tough talk. How are you going to pay for it? It's going to cost like $6 billion. Here's how we're going to pay for it. We're not going to build a tunnel between Quebec City and Lévis. And all of a sudden, she has linked improving the healthcare system to François Legault's Don Quixote project of digging a tunnel between Quebec and Lévis just to please some voters there. So I think that was a very smart move, and I have a suspicion that the Liberals may see this as their only way out. And I got to tell you, to survive. So I think they're going to start looking at various strategies that will link whatever the topic is to François Legault. And that can be applied to a lot of things in Quebec that aren't going well right now, whether it's the economy, whether it's concerns over the future of what Quebec is going to be like. François Legault, as we say, he engages in a kind of stream of consciousness politics. So this could be, if not a winning strategy for the Liberals, it could certainly wind up being one of survival.
All right. We have just a couple of seconds here. I just wanted you to, really quickly, we're going to play this, by the way, for people who did not hear it. We will play the King's speech, King Charles III, just after our 5:30 news. You heard it today. Give me your take on what you heard.
You're not going to like it. He had 70 years to figure out what he was going to say, okay? He had 70 years to determine this is what my reign will consist of. He had 70 years to tell the people of the United Kingdom, and indeed the Commonwealth, what his vision would be of the role that was his. It's been his since birth. What do we get? Well, I'm the king. I thank you for your condolences. My son is now the Prince of Wales. Thanks again for your condolences. A little bit of Shakespeare for Mom, and that's it. Clocked in at less than 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay? He wasn't no Colin Firth. Let's put it that way. Okay?
King's speech.
So, yeah.
So, somewhat fair to say, Jim, you were somewhat underwhelmed.
Oh.
Okay.
You know what scares me, though? Is the whole idea that now he's king, his likeness will replace that of Elizabeth on the $20 bill. And the thing is, in Canada, we have this penchant for giving nicknames to our money, like loonies and toonies and doubloonies.
Uh-oh.
How long do you think it is till someone comes up with Chuck Bucks?
I think someone already did, clearly.
Thank you. I hope Tim Hortons is listening. All right. James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, you have a good weekend.
You too, guys.
Chuck Bucks.